The iPhone 15 phones are getting crazy hot. It's the end of the world. The sky's falling, your phone's going to catch on fire, everybody's going to die. Not really. But that's what you would think if you read online right now. And I want to bring some rationality and some reasonableness to this conversation. So, my phone has gotten warm. It's gotten a lot warmer than I've expected, and I think it's for a few reasons that may surprise you, that may have simple fixes, and I don't think it's the end of the world. We've dealt with phones that get really hot before. I mean, if you follow my channel, and if you're a former BlackBerry Priv user, you know the sucker would get crazy hot. And it was a better hand warmer in the winter than it was a smartphone half the time. I've had a lot of overheating, and here's the thing. You see a lot of this language going around saying overheating. Overheating means that you get a pop-up warning that functions start shutting down on your phone. It says that the thermal event has happened. Just because it gets really hot sometimes doesn't mean that it's quote-unquote overheated. So, does the phone have a tendency to get hot? It can, and weirdly, and just like my Pixel Fold does. I was watching YouTube for like, I don't know, 7-8 minutes. I was just watching some YouTube shorts. I was watching some Instagram reels. I'm like, why is my phone getting really hot? This is weird. And then I immediately thought back to my Pixel Fold. And then what I've noted most prominently, though, is the charging. Now, if my phone is at 70-80% and I put it on the charger, it doesn't really feel like it gets any warmer at all. And I think a lot of that has to do with the charging speed and how everything works. So just so you know, when it comes to charging one of these beautiful phones, the first 50%, it charges a lot faster. There's a lot more energy that's going over. It charges it like, that's why the ratings are how quickly does it get from 0 to 50%. And I did a test earlier. I actually got 60% battery in like 31 minutes. So yeah, it gets about 60% in a half an hour. That if you go all the way down to like 10% battery and you put it on the charger, 10 minutes later, it's going to get hot. That's just how it's been working out for me. Maybe not for you, but I'm going to talk about why maybe not for you here in a minute. I'm not using the Apple charging cable. I am not using an Apple charging brick. I'm sure when Apple did their testing, they weren't using a Samsung charger. They weren't using a LG USB-C cable. They weren't using a Google charging bank. They were probably using their own Apple accessories. So I have a theory. I don't have an actual Apple charger, but my theory is if you use the Apple charging cable and if you use an Apple charger, it probably doesn't get as warm. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. That's just a theory. Somebody could test it and sound off in the comments. Go for it. Go be a scientist. Test that. But that's one of the things. The other one is I think there's some software optimization that needs to be had. So I'm sure that when they test this over in Cupertino, wherever they make these things at, they probably test them standardly across the board in certain situations, benchmark software. It's weird though, because I've seen people talking about videos. I was playing, Genshin Impact or Call of Duty, stuff like that, and not getting overly hot, at least not for a while. But then you do something as simple as run YouTube, or you watch Netflix, or you make a 10-15 minute phone call, and it's these simple things that seem to make it hot, just out of nowhere. So I think there just needs to be some optimization. It's a very powerful chip. It's a 3nm A17 Pro. We've dealt with heat. We had this issue last year with the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1. And we noted it with the Samsung phone. They were throttling the heck out of it. The OnePlus phone was getting the crap throttled out of it. There was a lot of throttling to properly run that chip to where it wasn't overheating all the time. It wasn't getting super hot. And they would do that, especially if you were doing like 8K video. I think it was the OnePlus 10 would shut down on 8K video with just a few minutes. And then they had to do a lot of throttling to those phones. And they even got caught doing the throttling. Remember the game optimization service, the GOS that Samsung was using that was basically throttling the phone and running it like a Snapdragon 765? Yeah, that's because the chip was producing too much heat. So when you have a powerful processor like that, you need to have adequate ventilation, like not ventilation, but you need adequate thermals, right? So maybe it doesn't have adequate thermals. Some people say maybe it's the titanium rails. I don't think that's it, but I saw one hypothesis that it is the titanium rails, and one reason you're feeling it get more hot is because titanium doesn't dissipate heat as well. So what's happening is it's being absorbed and sent to the glass on the back, which means it's making it feel more hot on the back of the phone. So there's all these different reasons. But the end result is there's plenty of people saying Their phone is getting warm. It's overheating. Some people's are overheating. I've seen people sharing screenshots from their chargers saying that charging will stop until the phone cools down and it'll resume charging again. And that's just mind-boggling to me. But again, that comes back to, I've looked at a lot of the comments, they're not using Apple charging equipment. They're using whatever. I plug mine in with a generic USB-C cable to a power delivery 3.0 charger. Like, it should be fine, but who knows? So, is this the end of the world? Like, is this Chicken Little, the sky is falling? Is it the boy who cried wolf? Is it just something that YouTubers are doing to make clicks and get views? Whatever. Maybe a little, but I'm not too worried about it. One, because I'm pretty confident that Apple's going to do something to manage this heat better. They'll probably do some throttling in areas that they didn't expect that they needed to. They'll probably get it wrapped up in probably pretty short order, maybe within a couple of weeks. And this is the thing. When these things start popping up, once these phones get out in the wild, then it kind of raises some alarms, and then the software development people are like, okay, we'll address this. So I'm not too worried about it. I don't think it's catastrophic, but it is alarming. I mean, especially if your phone didn't do this before. iPhones are not prone to this. It's not like the Google Pixel and everyone's like, oh, yeah, Pixel 6, Pixel 7. We're veterans. We got plenty of stripes on our sleeves. We're used to this heating thing. It's not like the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1 last year, where everyone this year was like, whew, we got the 8 Generation 2, and it is great. So we know there's some thermal issues with this chip. We know that if it gets too hot, it will start throttling it. We know that we're having these events. So I think it'll be all right. It's not burning anyone's hand. It's not setting anyone's house on fire. I mean, shoot, I dealt with the Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV, and that sucker would get crazy hot and overheat all the time. So this is not a foreign thing to phones. I don't think it's the end of the world, but it is concerning. I don't see a problem with people sharing their information, because when you see these tweets out there, when you see videos about it, it's raising awareness. And it gives an outlet for fine folks like you who watch these videos, so you can feel like, hey, yeah, I'm experiencing this. You can comment, you can post, you can tweet, you can see that other people are having shared experiences. So you're not like, okay, my phone's not defective. This seems to be a community level issue, and it's not the end of the world. And for people out there who are like, oh my gosh, everybody's hating on iPhone. Look, this happens with every phone. If we have a phone that makes it out in the environment, whether it's Pixel, whether it's Samsung, whether it's Apple, this is going to happen. It's not just Android people hating on iPhones. It's not just Samsung fanboys hating on Apple. Like, that's not it. So quit hating on people who are bringing this information up. It's not like anyone's running around like, oh my gosh, my phone's on fire, I'm going to die. That's not going to happen. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm fairly certain that Apple will come up with a solution for this. I'm not even a big Apple fan. Like, I don't care. I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is a big of a deal. I'm fairly certain that iPhone folks won't have much to worry about. I think Apple will probably get this sorted out. We'll come up with some sort of an explanation. This is just, it's been out for a couple of days. So yes, the news cycle is going to be hot and heavy, pun intended. And you'll probably hear about this for the next couple of days until it dissipates. I mean, it already replaced jerry-rig everything snapping the back of the phone. So there's always something. When you look at phones, there's bin gate, antenna gate, overheat gate, titanium gate, whatever you want to call it, the latest flavor of the week. It's happening. It's okay. We'll figure out what it is. The community will resolve. Apple will fix, probably. And then we'll move on from this, and then we'll find the next thing for everybody to get excited about in another week or two. I guarantee it. But here's another one. If you're an Apple fan and this is really hurting you internally to hear people saying bad things about Apple and the iPhone, fear not, the Pixel 8 will be here next week. And then people forget all about this. So that's all I got in this video. Just want to talk about it, offer my thoughts on the matter. Slow down, don't worry about it. We'll move on. Life will find a way, I guarantee you, just like in Jurassic Park. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please go to the comment section, say something, and we'll see what happens. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. I really do. It means the world to me. I'll see you guys next time.